Hey there, and welcome to this explainer for session 5. Today we're uncovering something absolutely crucial: why true language fluency requires a deep, fundamental understanding of cultural fluency. We're going to look at the diverse puzzle pieces that form the American identity, from its core values and history to its arts and daily traditions, just to see how they shape the way people actually communicate in the real world. Okay, let's dive right in with a pretty fascinating question. Imagine knowing every single English grammar rule flawlessly. You've got this incredible vocabulary, and you're passing every written test with flying colors. Yet, when you step into a room to actually have a conversation with an American, you still feel totally lost. So, why does that happen? Well, to answer that, let's look at a real-world example from our source material. This is a great observation from a veteran California barber. He noted that while a lot of his Korean clients speak English exceptionally well grammatically, true communication often completely fails. And this just proves that language and culture, they're basically two sides of the same coin. Without that cultural context, the nuances just vanish. Misunderstandings happen, and true communication breaks down, even if your grammar is absolutely perfect. So, to avoid all these misunderstandings, we first need to define what we're actually talking about here. Culture is this incredibly complex system of shared norms, traditions, values, and institutions that define a society. It gets passed down through generations, and it dictates literally everything about our everyday behavior. We're talking about everything from how you might introduce yourself at a networking event to what's considered polite at the dinner table, right down to the clothes we wear and how we celebrate special occasions. All right, moving on to Section 1, Core American Values. Let's explore the foundational tenets that shape how Americans interact, think, and communicate every single day. Now, the U.S. is a nation built on immigration, right? It's often called a melting pot. But what really ties it together are these shared core values. There's a very strong sense of patriotism and respect for national symbols, like the flag. There's this fierce protection of basic freedoms, speech, religion, the press. But honestly, perhaps the most crucial one for communication is individualism. Americans highly value self-reliance, hard work, and the pursuit of the American dream. It's that deeply held belief that you can achieve financial stability and a better life entirely through your own independent effort. And that brings us to punctuality, which stems directly from that individualistic, hardworking mindset. In American business and education, the phrase "time is money" is taken quite literally. Being late without a really solid, valid excuse is heavily frowned upon. The pace of life is fast, and efficiency is totally expected. Because time is money, you'll actually notice American communication tends to be super direct. People like getting straight to the point without much flowery preamble. Now, when it comes to daily interactions, you'll notice a really fascinating balance. While there is a certain formality in using proper titles, Mr., Miss, Sir, Ma'am, especially when you don't know someone, Americans also uniquely emphasize very open body language. They value strong eye contact and good posture. And here's a big one. There is absolutely nothing weird about smiling at complete strangers in public. In a lot of cultures, smiling at someone you don't know might seem, well, a little odd or suspicious, but in American culture, it's just a standard baseline for politeness. Let's jump into Section 2, Jazz, the American sound. Let's piece together the next tile of our puzzle. Music is an incredible lens through which to view a culture, and jazz is widely recognized as America's classical music. It's really the cultural heartbeat of the nation. Tracing its roots, jazz was born in the early 20th century right in the African-American communities of New Orleans. It was this amazing fusion of different musical traditions: ragtime, blues, traditional marches. Then, during World War I, American soldiers and band leaders like James Reese Europe actually brought this unique sound to Europe to entertain the troops. By the 1920s, it had spread globally, becoming one of the most profound and massive cultural exports the United States has ever produced. So the crucial point here is that jazz perfectly mirrors America itself. It is heavily based on improvisation, these unscripted, on-the-spot musical solos. It celebrates extreme individualism because every single musician is trying to establish their own unique style and sound. Yet, at the exact same time, it relies on incredibly tight teamwork through these call-and-response band patterns. It is literally the ultimate musical representation of the American ideal, individual expression thriving right within a collaborative community. Okay, Section 3, Baseball and Hollywood. Next up, we're examining two massive pillars of entertainment that continue to export American culture worldwide: sports and cinema. Let's look at baseball first, famously known as America's pastime. It's actually the oldest professional sport in the US. The first recorded game resembling modern baseball was played way back in 1846 between the New York Knickerbockers and the New York Nine. It expanded nationally during the really tumultuous years of the Civil War in the 1860s, acting as this unifying cultural force. And by 1903, the sport had grown so much that the first World Series was held, won by Boston, by the way. Much like jazz, baseball reflects both highly celebrated individual talent and immense team effort. And honestly, this sport is so deeply ingrained in the culture that even if you never watch a single game, you still need to know it just to understand everyday English idioms. Think about phrases like hitting a home run or throwing a curveball. They're everywhere in daily conversation. Now, let's move over to the visual storyteller, Hollywood. Incorporated as a Los Angeles municipality in the exact same year as the first World Series, 1903, Hollywood quickly became the global center of film. But why California? Well, interestingly enough, a lot of filmmakers relocated from New Jersey not just for the beautiful weather and diverse landscapes, but to put literally 3,000 miles between themselves and Thomas Edison's incredibly strict patent lawyers. It was basically a great escape that birthed a global powerhouse. It was quickly dominated by the Big Five studios, and of course, it continues to define and export modern pop culture today. Section 4. The Culinary Melting Pot. Finally, let's explore a topic that touches everyone's daily life: food. We're going to see how geography, immigration, and deep-rooted heritage create this incredible diversity in American dining and holiday traditions. Focusing heavily on heritage for a second, Thanksgiving perfectly captures the essence of American traditions. This holiday is deeply rooted in 17th century history, tracing all the way back to English colonists and Native Americans coming together to celebrate a successful harvest. Today, it is arguably the most culturally significant gathering in the country. It perfectly blends history with vibrant modern traditions, like watching those massive parades in American football games. And at the center of it all, of course, is the feast, featuring staples like roast turkey, stuffing, and pumpkin pie. But it's also a masterclass in American social etiquette. It's customary for guests to actively offer to help the host in the kitchen, and most importantly, to take turns expressing what they're thankful for right before the meal begins. It's this highly practical, actionable reflection of community, gratitude, and shared history. Now, because of the vast geography of the US, there isn't just one single type of American food. That melting pot concept we talked about earlier really comes to life on regional plates, telling the direct story of America's diverse history. You've got New England, up north, known for its rich seafood and clam chowder. The Mid-Atlantic boasts New York pizza and Philadelphia cheesesteaks, which are heavily influenced by Italian immigration. Then you head to the South, famous for fried chicken and incredible soul food. And the Southwest offers amazing Tex-Mex fusion, like tacos and chili. Every single region's plate tells a story of exactly who settled there. And when you're dining out in America, you'll immediately notice a few cultural staples. First off, the massive portion sizes. They tend to be way bigger and heavier than in a lot of other countries. Because of this, it's created a very standard cultural custom of asking for a doggy bag or a box to take the rest of your meal home. Seriously, don't be shy about it. It's practically expected. Secondly, you'll see just an incredible variety on the menus. Some restaurant menus can be pages and pages long, which really reflects that cultural desire to have diverse options and choices at all times. So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point to take away from this explainer is that understanding these cultural touchstones, whether we're talking about the individualism of jazz, the fast-paced time is money etiquette of business, or the historical traditions of Thanksgiving, it isn't just fun trivia. It is literally the master key to reading between the lines. When you understand the culture, you understand the nuances, you get the humor, and you know the expectations. And that, my friends, is how you truly speak the English language. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up. As you continue to master English by exploring the diverse American mosaic we've looked at today, I want you to ask yourself, how does your own native language act as a mirror to the traditions, values, and history that you call home? Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring the culture behind the words.